Welcome my Phoenix family to One-Footed Phoenix. Today we're going to be talking about what it was like to come home from an elective amputation surgery, so that you guys that are curious can get some information. When I say that my amputation was elective, that just means that I chose to have the surgery rather than having the surgery because of a traumatic accident that happened where my leg was severed. That did not happen, so instead of my leg getting severed, I decided that it was time to have the amputation surgery, so my leg was severed at the time of the amputation surgery. So my elective amputation was actually due to a condition called CRPS, Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. You've probably heard me talk about this before on the channel, but it essentially means that I had really bad nerve damage, and my leg thought that it was getting hit by that car over and over again, and so it was extremely painful, and I eventually decided that having an amputation would be better than living with the pain that I had in my leg. And to a degree, it has helped and has done that, and to a degree, it hasn't. And so I'm still living with a lot of phantom pain, and I'm still living with a lot of pain because of the amputation, but I'm living with less pain than I was with the CRPS condition. And to a degree, I still have CRPS a little bit in my leg, and there was some lingering in my leg, so that is why I had to do bisphosphonate treatments, and bisphosphonate treatments got me back into my prosthetic leg. So that's kind of a little bit about my story, and if you want to check out more, I'll put a link in the description down below where you can check out my full story. So my experience going into surgery day is that it was really early in the morning, and I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. and that was way too early to wake up, but it was still dark outside, and I had packed all my bags for the hospital the night before so that I would be ready to just take a shower and head off to the hospital, and that's exactly what we did. So I headed off to the hospital with my mom, and I knew that when I came home from the hospital, I would be an amputee on September 24th of 2021, and I expected to come home as an amputee, so I knew that that was going to be happening, but I did not prepare my house very well to be an amputee. And looking back, that's something that I wish that I would have done, is prepare my house a bit more to actually be an amputee when I came home. A lot of people may think that it's kind of weird that I went into this knowing that I'd be coming home an amputee, but to a degree, yes, it was a little weird to like roll into the hospital on my knee scooter knowing that I was going to leave the hospital never being the same again. And I had done a lot of work and a lot of therapy to try to accept this fact and try to come to terms with like, hey, I know that when I leave, I'm not gonna have my foot. And so I went through a lot mentally as well to try to prepare for, hey, when I wake up, I'm not gonna have my foot, and this is an irreversible decision that I'm making for my health. If you're enjoying this video, or if you're finding value in it, I would appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe. I'm so close to 900 subscribers, and I would definitely super appreciate it if you would subscribe, as well as turn on your notification bell to all notifications so that you never miss a One-Footed Phoenix video. I remember the morning of telling the nurses as they were getting me ready and putting in my IV for surgery, I told them that I didn't want to know when I was going to be knocked out for surgery. And this is mainly because I was sad, but at the same time I also just really wanted to get the surgery over with. And so I didn't want any like hiccups or anything, and I knew that I would probably just start like bawling my face off if I knew that they were gonna put me to sleep, because it was a very difficult thing to have them say, okay, hop up on the table, and mind you, like I like hop up on the surgical table, and they put in the nerve block behind my knee and I'm still awake, and then I roll over, and like a few minutes after that, that's when they put me to sleep. So I don't remember really like much of like what was said around the time before they put me to sleep. I just remember like talking about dancing and skiing and like all of these things that I kind of wanted to do again after I had become an amputee. And that was how I fell asleep. And it was beautiful to fall asleep like that for a surgery that was going to be so life-changing. So after the surgery, I stayed at the hospital for about a week, and I recovered, and I was trying to get my pain levels down because having an amputation is extremely painful, and it's like having a broken bone and your nerves cut and your muscles contorted in weird directions all at the same time. And so it's definitely painful and not an experience I recommend to anyone. That first week was really, really rough in levels of pain and in trying to sleep and in trying to rest. It just felt like I could not get in a comfortable position, and when I did sleep, it was like, oh, hallelujah. My mom stayed with me the first night, which was really nice of her. And it was good for her to stay there that first night, because that first night was really hard and really rough on pain levels. So it was good to not have to be all by myself. So when I was supposed to go home from the hospital, I was supposed to go to rehab before going home. And then my insurance decided that they didn't want to pay for rehab because I had done some physical therapy stuff while I was at the hospital, and they're like, you can go up and down stairs on crutches and you can go anywhere you need to on crutches, and so they didn't see a reason to send me to rehab, which honestly was like a really big mistake, but I'll get into that. So coming home from the hospital, having just lost my leg, was scary because my house wasn't completely set up for me to be an amputee yet, and so we hadn't put like the bars in the bathroom yet, and we had just barely gotten the wheelchair ramp set up in front of my house, and so I had like just barely gotten some things in place to be an amputee, and then I didn't have a really great wheelchair because of COVID and supply chain issues, and I couldn't find a secondhand wheelchair like anywhere online. And so when I finally found one, it was this like really old one that was pretty broken down and beat up, and so that was all I had to go off of in terms of a wheelchair. And so I was using crutches around the house like pretty much every day, and long story short, I ended up falling quite a few times during those first couple of weeks. And I remember like one of the worst falls that I had, I hit my leg on this like metal bar of the table, and I ended up actually having to go to the ER because the pain was so bad. I was like literally just kind of sitting there like half crying, half screaming. So after realizing that using crutches was probably not the safest option for me, I did start using the wheelchair more, and we were able to eventually get some tires for the old wheelchair that were bike tires of all things, but they fit on the wheelchair, and they were a specialized size, so I had to get them from a local bike shop, and the guy at the local bike shop actually dug through his whole shop just to find the tires for the wheelchair for me. And I still to this day super appreciate what they did for me. And they also had a dog that was an amputee, and they let their dog come out and meet me, which was really, really cool. And like they didn't have to do that at all, but they did it just for me because they knew I was an amputee. So now that I know that it's safer to use the wheelchair at home, I typically do use the wheelchair at home, and most of the time I'm in the wheelchair at home. Very rarely do I use crutches around my house. I typically just use crutches when I need to go up and down the stairs without my leg on, because it's much safer to avoid the falls on my leg, and I don't want to end up in a situation where I have a setback again and not being able to wear my leg for a couple of months because of a fall. Earlier this year or last year, I ended up having a fall that was pretty nasty on the cement, and I wasn't able to wear my leg for a few months because of that, and so I definitely don't want that to happen again. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. I hope you've enjoyed it and it's brought you some value. If it has, I hope that you'll like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to all notifications so that you never miss a video. If you would like to see another video all about what it was like to come home from amputation surgery and what it was like to go through the amputation surgery, click over here and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you, bye!